taking this one to the grave.
Hey Pretty Little Liars fans, Heather here with Sidereel's latest edition of Pretty Little Liars TV. Today we'll recap this week's episode, I'll share some of my favorite highlights, and we'll talk about the episodes to come.
If I show you that I know you won't tell what I said, 'cause two can keep a secret if one of them is dead.
Well, if you haven't watched this week's episode yet, you might want to cover your ears. This is your official spoiler alert. This week's episode, titled There's No Place Like Homecoming, marked the big homecoming event we've all been waiting for. And it didn't disappoint. It kicks off with the girls getting fortune cookie messages from A.
Lions and tigers and bitches, oh my. There's no place like homecoming. See you there, A.
A ceases to amaze me, so now he or she can make cookies, and she's a stalker. Chef and stalker. Anyways, Hannah plays matchmaker by telling Maya Emily wants her to go to the dance, but little does Hannah know, Emily has other ideas.
I would have thought you'd think homecoming was lame.
It is pretty lame, but you're not.
And the girls catch sight of an interesting tap on Toby's hip.
What is that?
All hell breaks loose when the girls finally make it to the homecoming dance. Hannah and Spencer are so wrapped up in finding evidence to incriminate Jenna and Toby that they totally ignore their dates. Not cool. Aria has a run-in with Fitz, and she almost reveals something.
Aria, why would someone want to mess with you?
Because last summer...
But of course, she's rudely interrupted, and we don't get to find out anything. The girls are shocked when Emily shows up at the dance with Toby. When Spencer finally thinks she's figured out what Toby's tattoo means,
901, free at last. It's September 1st. That's the day Allie disappeared.
she fears for Emily's safety. And Hannah heads to the therapist's office to find some dirt on Jenna and Toby. And here's the real shocker. It turns out Toby's seeing the therapist, not Jenna. And it gets even crazier. We find out what dirt Allie has on Toby. It's juicier than I could have ever imagined.
And we're not taking the blame for this.
Oh, yes, you are.
No, not unless you want the entire world to know how close you are with your stepsister.
Juicy enough to kill over, though, I'm not sure. I'm still rooting for Toby. Meanwhile, Emily manages to slip away with Toby. Toby starts acting weird, and it freaks Emily out. Emily's even more freaked out when she gets a text message from Aria.
Somebody help me! Get away! Leave me alone!
Does she make it out okay? Is Emily alive? Is she dead? Is she hurt? What? The last scene makes us think that she's probably dead, but if you've seen the previews for next week's episode, you know that's not the case. But if she's not dead or missing, then who is? Someone has to be, right? Some of my favorite moments from this episode were, first of all, we were introduced to Lucas, who is played by Brendan Robinson. I really enjoyed his character. He was hilarious. He adds a little bit of comedic relief to the drama-heavy show.
I'm really more comfortable in an observational role during sexercise.
And speaking of Lucas, I was stoked when Hannah stood up to Mona for being a bitch to him.
Did you just engage in conversation with Hermie? Isn't that what Allison called him? He's not a hermaphrodite, okay? He's a nice guy.
We are really starting to see Hannah evolve into a slightly less shallow person. So for all of you that don't want to hear what's coming up on the next episodes of Pretty Little Liars, you might want to cover your ears. This is your second official spoiler alert. On the next episode, the girls try to mend their relationships after a disastrous homecoming, and we learn a little bit more dirt on Toby. Be sure to keep your eyes peeled for a guest appearance by Sarah Shepard, the author of the Pretty Little Liars book series. She should be starring as a substitute teacher at Rosewood High. According to E! In an online interview with Troyan, who plays Spencer, we might be finding out A's identity sooner than we thought. Rumor has it that we should look forward to an upcoming party that ends in a scavenger hunt, and the prize is A's identity. So I'm really excited for that, but I'm also a little nervous because I don't know what they're going to do with the plot once A's revealed. Well, that's it for now. Catch Pretty Little Liars on ABC Family Tuesdays at 8 p.m. and be sure to check back with us here at Side Reel, Pretty Little Liars TV, for a recap of next week's episode. See you then.
Can keep a secret if one of them is dead.